Bezat Hashem, we're back here, Erev Shabbat Kodesh, 24th? What do you mean? It's 24th of the month already, right? 24th of Adul. Wow.
Tonight is going to be
25th. What is going to be tonight? Briat Haolam? I mean, the Lefi Shitot, yeah, some say that 25th is started and okay, whatever. It's too high for me. This is Kabbalah. Thank you for that. Thank you for the whole week. Glory be to Allah. Baruch. Make a lot of besiyata d'shma v'parnasa. B'shafa b'nachat b'simcha.
You can be on the phone. Yeah. You're doing.
Okay.
You're doing Bekim, right?
Yeah. Okay. So today is Erev Shabbat Kodesh. We're making a correction. It's actually two parashiyot, Nitzavim v'Yelech b'ezrat Hashem. So we're continuing in Mishnah Berurah in Chilchot Reish Mem Hey.
This week is double.
245. Yeah. I was saying a few times. I'm just saying it for the video. Somebody might listen today to this video. They should know it's two parashiyot. Yeah, it's two parashiyot. Okay, it's my fault. The whole week I was telling you all Nitzavim. I should have said Nitzavim Vayelech. Okay. The whole week I announced it. It's my fault. Where did I discover it? I actually discovered it 2 days ago. It's two parashiyot, and even yesterday I didn't say it because yesterday they drove me crazy over here. The next minyan. Okay. Excuses for everything. Vav, okay. Mishnah Berurah continues explaining Vav in Umutar, right? So what is Mutar over here? It's going on. It's going Mutar. So we said that where we discussed last week, yesterday, the 2 days before, in reference to where the allowance was as long as the deal was struck before commencement of the partnership. Right? So we had an allowance, as long as a Jew works on one day of the opposite of the Goy's Shabbat, that would be allowed mutar to split the entire profit of the week or monthly, however people do. But not as long as it's not daily. Divisions daily would be asur. Maybe not, we'll see. Mutar, ואם לא נודע אחר כך רווח של כל אחד ואחד על יומו, כגון בחנות, רשאים לכתחילה לחלוק בשווה מגן אברהם, אוקיי, ואם לא נודע אחר כך רווח, so he says, what is then Mishnah Berurah explains, if there was no knowledge of exact profit של כל אחד ואחד על יומו, on a daily basis, we don't know exact profit from the kagon b'chanut, like in a store, right? Okay, so he's telling us basically what we've been saying. In a store where there is a general profit income, right, throughout the whole week or monthly, then it will be allowed to be split. It will be allowance over here. That's what Maran tells you, mutar. Mutar. What is mutar? Why does he have to say mutar? Because specifically you're always going to have that problem in your head. The problem is, wait a minute, the whole week we made $15,000 profit. On Shabbat we made $15,000 profit itself. So how is it a person might doubt is he allowed to or not? Come Mishnah Berurah Shulchan Aruch, it says mutar. And Mishnah Berurah explains why mutar, because it's a weekly split. It's a big split. On that reference, right? Magen Abraham b'shem Adalba. Okay. Zayin. What is he going Zayin? Oh, the problem starts.
I spaced out.
Yeah.
The last part.
The last doubt, you might be doubting, why am I taking the $7,500 profit of Shabbat? Right? Mm-hmm. So he's technically speaking, in the store, we don't know exactly where the profits, what, when, and how. I don't know how is that possible. In all the days, maybe. Today, you already know each day, each item you sell, you already know what's your profit. Right? You know your storage cost, your delivery cost, and every item you sell in the store, you know exactly what you're selling because of the technology. Yeah. But still, it's going to be mutar l'choira, mutar again because of that element that it's not main concept over here. The goy is not making the job for you on Shabbat. He's not using the Shabbat for the profit. It's a partnership where they're working. So goy works on Shabbat, you work on whatever the day are there, and therefore whatever the profits are, it's not he's not doing work for you, you're not doing work for him. Each one, that's the partnership that says he works on Shabbat, you work on Sunday. That's the partnership. So it's not. So there's a profit throughout the whole week. You split it.
So far, we're talking about a partnership. It's not a partnership only for Saturday, only for Shabbat.
Right. No, that we already discussed that previously, where there was no choice. We were discussing where where let's say you're running a ferry, but this is a totally different concept. Here we're talking about specifically you want to open a T-Mobile store with a goy, and obviously there's going to be profit on Shabbat because he has to work on Shabbat. So the profits of Shabbat is split because you're working on another day where the goy doesn't work, doesn't do anything, they have no input. Okay, so that's simple. Now the problem starts is the next part of the Shulchan Aruch, right? The Shulchan Aruch said, however, let's say in a case where a person does tshuva after the partnership commencement, he became religious Jew. Till now he worked every Shabbat. All of a sudden he became religious. The business was going so good, the goy is not going to back out of the business. He wants to continue the business. So he said, okay, but there's a problem. The problem is I want to not work on Shabbat. Now, so ve'im lo hitnu b'tchila. So Mishnah Berurah says, what happens if there was no condition before the commencement of the agreement of the partnership? Katav stama le'esor b'lo hitnu. So Shulchan Aruch, it's mashma according to Shulchan Aruch, it will be prohibited for a Jew to have any pleasure from Shabbat's work, any, right? And that's what he says. Katav stama le'esor b'lo hitnu, because there was no condition. The Shulchan Aruch says he wrote that it's asur to have. Afilu im lo amar lo avod ata b'Shabbat v'ani b'chol. Even if he didn't make a gesture by mouth that you work on Shabbat, I work on the day. וגם בשעת חלוקה לא הזכיר לו של שבת אלא רוצה לחלוק עמו סתם בשווה. Even if he did not mention anything about Shabbat at all, but just at the time of the splitting the profits, just let's split evenly. אפילו אחי אסור כיוון שלא ייתנו קודם שנשתתפו. He says, even in a case where there was no mention at all of Shabbat, just like they continue working, but the Jew is taking off on Shabbat now. He says, you know what? I'm taking off on Shabbat. I became religious. Or his father died. Or usually that's what happened. Things stop happening, right? So from now on, I promised my father I don't work on Saturday anymore. Something like that. He made up a deal, made up a story. So there is no. Basically, the goy is not working for me on Shabbat. I didn't tell him to go to work on Shabbat. He did it on his own. So Mishnah Berurah points out, according to Shulchan Aruch, in that case, it's still asur for a Jew to say, okay, let's split money evenly. Okay? That's going to be a prohibition here. So he says, v'chalchu stam. So continues Mishnah Berurah in explanation. What does that mean? They separated just without any conditions. V'yesh matirim hasachar b'diavad afilu lo hitnu v'chalchu stam. So Rama says that there are some Rabbanim who actually say, in this scenario, the picture we just painted, where there was no designation, you work on Shabbat and I work on something else, he didn't say anything. So according to some opinions, Rama says the money is allowed to be split evenly. The Jew shouldn't say anything ever. Just take the money, the profit of the split in half, and bye-bye. It's not Melachat. He didn't do Melachat Shabbat. As we said earlier, the Goy did all the Melachat on Shabbat, without any conditions. The Chalku Stam, they split it just like that. היינו בשעת חלוקה לא הזכיר לו ישראל את השבת לומר אתה בתיטול כנגד יום המלכה בשבת ואני איטול כנגד יום המליא בחול. He didn't tell the goy anything about this concept of you take for the Shabbat and I'll take for the day, regular day. אלא חלקו סתם בשווה. But it's just a partnership continues. Partnership continues. The goy is going to start complaining later on. It's a different story. But we're not there yet. Right now, I promised my father I don't work on Shabbos anymore. Charas. He doesn't work on Shabbat, the goy works on Shabbat. They're splitting the profits. There is no discussion about Shabbat ever. There, some opinions say it's allowed to be taken money, says Ramah. And Mishnah Berurah explains, וגם מאירי שלא אמר לו בתחילה עבוד אתה בשבת ואני אעבוד כנגדך בכל. This is all specifically where the Jew did not tell a goy, you work what? You work on Shabbat and I'll work during the day. This is just a scenario stam. Okay, just like that. אלא העין היהודי עשה בעצמו שלא בציוויו. The goy is working on his own. Nobody commanded him. Nobody told him anything. However, if the Jew mentions from now on, because my father or my mother, I can't work on Shabbat, but I'll make up to you. You don't have to work on Monday, on Tuesday. You work on Shabbat, I work on Monday, Tuesday, any other day. That will be prohibited according to all the opinions. Because now there is a discussion, you're telling him to work on Shabbat. ודגלה דעתו דלשלוחו היה על שבת והוא Amal kenegdo bechol, because he's sending him to be a messenger to do for work on Shabbat, and I'll do the work on during the day. So,
just because he says you work, it doesn't say I can't.
That's right.
Here it says I can't work anymore. He's not
Good.
saying you should work.
Good.
I can't.
That's
work.
right.
Here he's saying you work on this day.
Now let's say the guy comes up and says, you know what, Mister, I don't want to open on Shabbat anymore. You can't make it on Shabbat. I don't want to open on Shabbat. Oh, you start protesting? There could be more than what could be more than that. That you're telling him specifically you want him to work on Shabbat for you. So be quiet. Halas. Because from the beginning Shabbat was on both of their heads. Because that was the partnership. Here we're specifically talking about where a Jew and a Goy, they combined their profit money and they bought the oven or they bought the bet house, meaning 50-50 or whatever the partnership is. Whatever. Aval, over there was the whole concept was the Goy's money and the Jew's money are mixed. Whatever the split. אבל אם אין ליהודי חלק בגוף התנור, רק שהוא מקבל חלק ברווח בשביל שהוא אופה ומשיג התנור. However, in a situation where a goy has zero principle in the profit, in an item that is used to be worked for Shabbat, for instance, the Jew bought and built the whole bakery, and the goy, his salary is based on performance of his baking and selling. That's his salary. Meaning, there's no salary. It's a partnership. It's a sort of partnership.
Sweat equity.
Well, sweat equity. That's right. יש אומרים דלמהני בזה אפילו כשמתנה בתחילת תורתה חלקך בשבת ואני יום אחד בכל. In that case, in this scenario, even poskim say that even if you made the condition before you went into this partnership, you found a baker. What is this baker? You know those French bakers. Those guys have a name. Bli Ain Hara. People go crazy, right? You go to a Jewish bakery, you look at a calzone or croissant, you're ready to pay $3. You go to a French bakery, the same croissant, $8. Khalas, makara. No, this is a French chef, right? The guy has no money.
Rabbi, usually it's the other way around.
What? What are you talking about?
Realistically, it's the other way around.
No.
The French bakery is going to be $1.50, and the Jewish croissant is going to be $4.
So you don't know. Go to downtown Manhattan. Not downtown, uptown Manhattan. Uptown, those 130 streets over there, where you have to. By the way, you have to pay today $16 to drive in there, right? You know about that, right? They have some kind of crazy rules now in Manhattan. You have to drive in certain areas, pay money for that.
Yeah.
So okay, anyway, so in that,
Manhattan, there's tolls depending on where you are.
which part of the city you're driving in? You could be driving. Yes, sir. So it used to be taxi for some rides for $10. Now it's $26 because of the toll. But anyway, that's what the liberals are. That's what liberals are. What do you think?
Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge.
Habibi, they're coming here. They're coming here, the liberals. What do you think? In Florida, there's no liberals. I told you, I got a bill.
Broward is them here.
Wow, this is crazy. I got a bill. What about Bill?
But we're safe in this Bet Knesset.
I hope so. Anyway, depends if some guy over here is a liberal, you have no choice. You're not going to be no safe. Anyway, so what happened was I got a bill. I got a water bill for the new property we bought. I said, Habibis, we're knocking it down. What water bill? No, it's automatically, sir. You like it or not, we generate the bill because you're the new owner. Pay up. I'm not using it. Pay up. We don't care. This is liberalism. Liberalism. Mama. I called I said, you know what, people, the city, the government, you give them a finger, they'll take the whole hand. In Manhattan, in New York, the government was afraid of me. Anything that start up with me, I always go to court. If you give in once, they'll always find a reason to bill you. That's the way they work. So I said over here, I'm going to go to fight these guys. What is it? I get a $200 bill. So every month I'm going to pay them $100 for nothing. So I called my a Jew here, somebody, my advisor. He says, Abraham, you're going to win for sure. You're going to give them constitution, you get to America for freedom, you're going to win in court. Nobody won, by the way, in court in Briarwood. Nobody. In this case, you pay, everybody just pays. Says, Avram, I know you're going to win. He says, the water bill. For sure you're going to win. I'm not using it. But he says, there's a problem. What? Tomorrow I'm going to come, this is the architect says, tomorrow I'm going to bring the plants to the city, and they're going to tell you what? You're going to pay with a water bill?
Yeah.
Have a good luck at getting your plans approved.
In New York, it's also like that.
You hear?
I had a similar issue when I was living in a house and I had a gas line.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't use the gas, I still got like a small.
Okay, let's continue. דכיוון שגוף התנור הוא של ישראל, הווה לי כמזכיר לו תנורו על שבת שישיג לו בשביל זה השכר יום אחד של חול. So we said in the case where the boy, this French chef, did not have any principle. He did not have any gain in the principle of the oven. In that case, in that scenario, still it will be asur. Why? It's because like you're telling a goy to work for you your oven on Shabbat, and that will be asur. אבל אם הוא בהלוואה, כגון שאומר לעופד תול אתה 2 ו3 ימים ואני 2 ו30 ימים, שהרי התנה זה בתחילת השותפות. So he says, however, listen to this. So a new thing to this is Mishnah Berurah to us. He's telling us, however, when you commence the partnership with this French chef, he brings the name, you bring the principle. So in that case, what's the case? The scenario is you tell the goy you work a few days of the week. Happens to be that the deal is he works on Shabbat one of those days, and you work a few of the days. So he says that in that case it will be allowed. ויש מהאחרונים שסוברים דלם בעניין בזה שאין להן היהודי חלק בגוף התנור התנו בעיקרה כיוון שהוא בהבלעה. So he says that even in this case, still some say argue. So remember that the main partnership, there has to be a full principle. So that would make a goy work specifically just for his profit. Tet. Okay, we have two more words. Biyomo. What does that mean, biyomo? Tet. Let's see.
So 1 second. Could you just repeat the last word?
1 second. ביומו. אבל שניהם עוסקים ביחד כמאחור בשבת עוסק אינו יהודי כבודו.
When the noise comes,
Okay, so again, so he says, אבל אם הוא בהבלעה להחמיר דווקא באופן זה שהוא שלא בהבלעה. Right? We said where you took a goy, the French chef, for his name. He has no principle on the concept. This whole conditions of the goy working for himself, as long as he has money, he has interest in the principle, so he is concerned about himself. So in that case, we said all that we discussed till now. But you commence a partnership with this goy, where he is the brand and you're the principal provider. He's the brand.
you're the equity that we're sweating.
Right, he's sweating. So we said that would be asur if you tell him to work only for Shabbat. So basically, in that case, would be the work on Shabbat he takes for himself, because you don't want it to be like he's working for you, right? Because he has no principle. Once he has no principle, it's like he's working for you. It says, however, there is a heter. The heter was that he would tell this goy, שמשיג יש לך לחוש להחמיר כדעה, דווקא באופן שהוא לא בהבלעה. אבל אם הוא בהבלעה כגון שאומר לעופד תול אתה 2 או 3 ימים ואני 2 או 3 ימים, שהרי כשתנה זו בתחילת השותפות. The bottom line is where we're telling the goy that you take you take half of the week and I take the half of the week. So it's like not partnership. It's not a partnership. All gains for those 3 days you take, all the gains for the next 3 days I take. So in that case, wherever he works on Shabbat, it's his. It's his. So there's no mixture. There's no mixture of funds, because the other 2 days which are not Shabbat would be the Chora profit. So I don't know. So Lechoira. So what's the benefit from that? I have no benefit from Shabbat at all.
If I'm not working on Shabbat.
Maybe the concept is, since there is constant labor, the business is striving because he's working on Shabbat also, right? Because what is bakery? People eat because they know you have a good food.
That's because you're working also.
Right. What?
That's with any specialty. Any whatever service.
But no, you're not working. He does all the work. You didn't split with him. He does all the work. What?
But that's his whole purpose.
With the
He's
food
there.
establishment, like with a restaurant, you need a mashkiach.
Right. So no,
So
but
how
I
can
just
you-
gave an example. Let's say, I'm just saying, something
like-
else.
okay.
Figure out whether it's not going to be
Another-
problem.
Let's say a barbershop.
A barbershop, yeah.
A barbershop has a name because
Right.
of the main, most likely
Right.
because of the main barber.
Good. Okay, beautiful. This is a
He
better
doesn't work on
better
Shabbat,
Okay.
so what?
So
But
no,
the
no, no, no,
barbershop
no.
has a name.
The whole week the
He's
goy
the
works.
chef.
No, here the case is the whole week the goy works. He works the whole
Whole
week,
week the goy works.
right? So we decide that 3 days profit goes to him, 3 days profit goes to me, or 3.5, whatever, 4 days. So in this case, that's what we're talking about.
So what he's saying, the rabbi is like,
I'm really a little bit.
what is he saying?
That what?
He's saying mutar or asur?
That will be mutar. Yeah, and some say. Not everybody agrees with it. Not everybody.
There's no ish Mazliach? I mean,
There is actually Mazliach, number 4. Let's see what he says here. ואף למה שכתב מרן רבי יוסף להכר בדין זה מוצא ממלכת ישראל על ידי גוי, אפשר שמודה שאין להתיר אלא בהבראה כדין שכר כלים. So it's like a contractual agreement, right? You're basically renting to him your place, like
oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
If he's taking all the profit for those days,
not those days. That's the thing. He didn't say which day is that. It's just split. First, some days he takes, some days you take, right?
Some?
Right.
there's no schedule.
No schedule.
Okay.
No schedule. So let's say, so what would be scenario? Every day brings in $500. Let's say.
He has Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
No, that's not a problem at all. The question is, no. I mean, it's a problem. It's a problem. If you tell him, I take 3.5 days, you take 3.5 days, so basically it's the Mexican Shabbat in there also. Right? But so that's going to be the contract. So that's the contract. I'm working with him in the contract. He is basically I own the principal, the barbershop, everything is mine. He's the brand name. He doesn't work.
It's like being 50-50 partner.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a difference.
Yeah, but there is a difference. The difference is that where we discussed over here, where you could tell him to work on Shabbat, you work the other day, where he doesn't work that day, right? That is where you both have principal interests. Here, the goy doesn't have any principal interests. The question was, because maybe he doesn't have any principal interests, maybe it's like he's like your employee. He says no, it has to be contractual. It has to be that whatever he brings in, that's what you
Risk
split.
of loss also. He's not on the salary.
No, he does has a risk, a loss of his time only. Yeah, okay, so that's what he said. Okay.
His time is the melacha.
Yeah, okay. Right, good. Okay, what's biyomo?
I mean,
So it says, Mishnah Ramah says, Ela, Mishnah shekol echad osek biyomo. So each person works on his own day. What is that? The as, kivan she'Yisrael osek kol yom harishon havele, haynu Yehudi kishlucho. Oh, so what's happening? What's the problem where we said the partnership commenced when they were both working on Shabbat? Now the Jew is doing Shabbat. So going back to that for a second now. So it says Ramah told us that even now the Jew says to the goy, you work on Shabbat, I work on Sunday. In this case, it will be asur. Why? דאז כיוון ישראל עושה כל יום ראשון הווה היינו יהודי כשלוחו לעשות כל יום שבת בשבילו. So in that case, we said, why is it asur? Because the goy working as a messenger for you on Shabbat. You working for him as a messenger on Sunday. So, but the problem, we don't care about that. We are more concerned about him working on your behalf on Shabbat. That's the problem.
earlier we said the difference between now and before. We said you're not telling him. You're just saying I can't work on Shabbat. Here
okay.
now the cases are saying
It's
you
a
can.
shliach, yeah.
When you're telling him that I work on Sunday, you work on Shabbat, that's the problem. ולכך בעינן שיתנה מעיקרא. Therefore, the Halachot Shabbat Shulchan Aruch told us the conditions had to be set before the commencement of the partnership. וכתבו האחרונים, or the sages that wrote more, דהו הדין אם האין היהודי נתן מעוד לישראל להתעסק בהם בחול, ובשבת מתעסק הוא. דאסור לישראל לקבל ממנו שכר מן הרווח שנורד בשבת. Oh, what about the different scenarios? A goy is the principal, and the Jew is the brand, is the sweat. Okay? So now what happens is the Jew is doing all the work throughout the week that they split the money, and now the goy is taking over on Shabbat. The goy is taking over on Shabbat to work with his principal. The Jew doesn't. So he says that the Jew will have zero allowance without Shabbat performance. Let's say,
Oh, yeah, that's a given.
Meaning he's not allowed to have
any profit. For instance, why is that important? Why is that important? Because he is the brand. I'm the brand. The Jew is the brand. Right? The Jew is the brand. Now the Goy is using my brand to do the job on Shabbat. So the Jew will say, hey, it's my brand. Give me some dividends. Asur. Because the Goy owns everything. Since the Goy owns everything, since the Goy owns the principle, the Jew has no principle. He just has the brand. He cannot make profits on Shabbat from that. The Goy performing work on Shabbat. However, that the Jew from the beginning has to make a condition with the Goy that he has no responsibility at all to work on Shabbat, the Jew. So without that condition, there's obligation on the Jew to work on Shabbat, and now he's throwing the condition on the Goy. That is why it's asur if the condition was not made, even in the branding. The Jew provides the brand name, and the Goy provides the principle. In that case, also would be asur, but if they didn't make the condition prior to commencement of the deal, like we said. Okay. So why is the Goy why the Jew is allowed to have profit? Some say, Rama says, some say over here that if a Goy works on Shabbat without any, what's his name? And this is that the condition was not made before Shabbat, before partnership. Now the Jews started observing Shabbat. He tells the Goy, you work on Shabbat. Some say it's mutar. Why? Why would it be allowed? Like this. Why? Because some say, still, even though you tell the Goy to do work on Shabbat, it's what? He's working for whom? For you or for himself?
If you're telling him?
Yeah. It sounds like he's working for him. Anyway, he's working for himself. Because he wants to.
Now it sounds like he's working for himself and for you.
No. So there is a tzad to say. No, there's a tzad to say. Right, let's see. Yud. We said over here, let me see if I'm making a mistake, but I don't, okay. עדת הדף so, okay. ודאינו יהודי, ובשבת עושה כאינו יהודי לבדו, מותר לחלוק עמו כל השכר, דאינו יהודי עדת הדנפשי כעבד. Which case, ויש אומרים, here, look at this, ויש אומרים, רמה. ויש אומרים, some say, שכל זה למה אלא בשותפות שכל אחד עושה ביומו. אבל כששניהם עוסקים ביחד כל ימי החול. However, if this is what so he says more. Over there where we said a Jew works Sunday, Goy works Tuesday, Monday, Jew works Tuesday, Goy works Wednesday, like day after day, each one works. That was the scenario that we painted the picture before. However, if they both working the entire week, but the Goy on Shabbat works by himself. In this case, some say you're allowed to split with him the profits of the Shabbat. Why? Because he's working only for himself on Shabbat. He's working for his profit. He doesn't concern about your profit. He wants his share. He wants his half, because the more he gains, the more his half. So he really doesn't concentrate on your half, because he's concentrating on his half. So that's what it means. That's why it will be mutar. He will be allowed to take money from Shabbat profits, because the Goy didn't do it for you. He did it because he's more concerned about his profit more than yours. Okay? So now the Berurah explains. Why? Bishul bichelko dehave elei ka'arim demutar medina the ke'aris. Yeah, we're reading Yud. Bishvil chelko, because Goy constantly. It's another building. Yeah, come here. Throw here, sir. Go through this door and go straight. There's another door. All right. You'll see the door. You'll see them davening in the door, through the window. Okay. Bishvil chelko, because no, he's here already. No, asur to walk to the shul when you're coming in with that intention. But once you walk into the shul, tell the guy, no, go out that way. It's not a mitzvah to tell him to do that. Okay. Bishvil chelko, and he learned something. He learned how to get to his davening, the easier, faster way. It's also learning. Okay. Bishvil chelko, because the Goy was working specifically for his profit. They have aris. It's like he's a aris. Remember that aris word? Aris is that there is a profit on the what you sweat. Aris is like a sweat work. The mutar medina as we already mentioned that is allowed. כיוון שהוא לוקח בפירות הדת דנפשי וחלק הישראל נשבח ממילא. We said over there when the goy was working the field, and even the whole concept is that the goy was taking from his labor, from his sweat, even though the Jew has a gain from the sweat of a goy on Shabbat, and that's called aris. So the same thing is happening here. You hear what he's saying? Same thing is happening here. A goy is working on Shabbat, and he is what? He's making all the profits. It's like the field where the goy is working and performing, producing the production, and the Jew is also having benefit from that. Same thing here. It's the same thing as a field. We said arisut. It's the same thing as arisut, the sweat, like he said. Miwadin kan ela. So the same thing here. Ela desham asur betanur mishum marit ayin sheemru schirohu. However, what was a provision over there was specifically where it's related to an oven. When there is an oven, we were afraid that the goy comes as working as a worker, even though on the oven also there's a contract for performance. The oven, that's right, performance, how much comes in, that's how much the goy takes without a salary. Why was that asur on Shabbat? Because of chashash. People will say he's not working for you on the as a contractor. They will say he's working for you on a daily. That's chash. Because we're speculation, we gave you prohibition. But in reality, in reference to the field, when there is a field work that he's working for you on the sweat part, the partnership according to the sweat, we said it's okay because the goy is specifically.
Because here what? Because it says sofer bakery.
Right.
Because it says like a Jewish name.
And he has no interest, he has no principle, we said. Right? It's like he works.
Bakery cannot be open on Shabbat.
Bakery, okay, I should so let's say barbershop. What's the difference? I could even tell you bakery is also not a big deal because we are allowed to buy from a goyish bakery. As long as you know the ingredients are fine, that's why it's called Pas Israel and no Pas Israel. You saw that OU not Pas Israel. You know what that means? That means that all the ingredients are kosher, that's what OU says, and the goy cooks, bakes full time, 24/7 there. And that's what people. So we Baruch Hashem are mahmir, but le'alacha, you see that is allowed. And if the person is desperate, he's in some hick town, and there's no Jewish bakery, so you shouldn't eat bread. Go to the bakery as long as he knows that there is no oil from the pig or something, animal fat. He could buy from there.
Yeah, but today there's
וכאן, שאמרו שכירו וכאן לקה מראית העין והכל יודעים שיש להן היהודי חלק בו. So over there when it said that this is a sofer barber shop, over there we said the goy shouldn't work for you on Shabbat. He shouldn't work because what the people will say that all the profits is from Shabbat. For all the profit would be the goy is your worker. But over here, in our scenario, where everybody knows that he's your partner, as long as everybody knows that he's your partner, even if you have an oven that people are warming up their food or whatever, they're cooking their food, still will be allowed. Still will be allowed. Because everybody knows as a goy, he's not your employee. Okay. Yud Aleph, ve'en Israel nehene. What is that? So, the אין היהודי עד תדעיו של כבל וישראל הנהנה במלאכתו בשבת כיוון שאין המלאכה מוטלת עליו בשבת לעשות so we said Israel is not enjoying specifically because the Jew has no obligation to work on Shabbat. So he's explaining now this whole concept why it's allowed to have profit. Tzudon Omar to explain the meaning is like this: דהנאתו היא רק הנאה דממילא, because really it's the Jews' profit or enjoyment from the money over here, it's just because the goy is working on Shabbat. But really, there is no obligation at all for a Jew to do anything. So in that case, it will be allowed because the goy is, as we said, is mostly concentrating on his profits. Aval continues. Aval right here. אבל אין היהודי עושה מלאכתו בשבילו להנאתו דלהווה כשלוחו בזה. But however, if there is some nidnu, there's some hint of a goy being your messenger to perform the job for you, כיוון דאין מוטל כלל על ישראל בזה לעשות בשבת, Because of here the ha בכל מין שניהם ובשבת אין יהודי יכול לחופו שיעסוק עמו משום האחים בוודאי לדעת את עיניו שווה. Since throughout the whole week, Jew and no goy, they're working in the oven. Okay? So they split the profits. But on Shabbat, the goy cannot have a claim on the Jew, you work on Shabbat. In a case like that, so the goy is completely working for himself. So all the profits of Shabbat could be split in that scenario. Right? Because the Jew has no obligation to work on Shabbat. Okay? If a Jew doesn't have an obligation, the goy, he says, Berurah,
in the contract,
that the goy cannot obligate a Jew to work on Shabbat. Okay. It says the goy cannot force the Jew to warm up the food on Shabbat in this oven. So because of that the goy completely does all the performance on his own for his profits. That's what he's gaining. He wants to work on that day because of that. So the goy opens the business on Shabbat for himself. So why is the Jew allowed to make any profit from that? Because the Jew has no obligation to be there on Shabbat. Okay, that's the bottom line. Yud bet. So what's behavla'a with the contract? The ilabachi magzi maschar Shabbat. So the whole concept. So the rabbi says like this: it has to be contractual. Like you said, that's the word you were saying. It has to be contractual working. That it's all on the contract of performance. As we already discussed many times, as long as there's performance, there is salary, and it's not there is income and there's divisions. If there is no performance, right? Then there is
performance based.
Well, no, it's contractual. The contract says it's performed on the contract. You work, you have what to eat from. All right? It's the job has to be done. No, oh no, sorry. It's not contractual. Behavla'a is a mixture with all the other days when he's combining. In any scenario, it says that Mishnah Shulchan Aruch and Ramah pointed out to us, and Mishnah Berurah explained to us, what we just said is just compensing. We just wants to end up. The main thing is here that there is no individual Shabbos profit. It has to be mixed all the profits. If there's a mixture of all the profits, that's fine. But if there is some nidnut, some indication that there is a splitting of Shabbat profit, will be asur according to everybody. Bezat Hashem. Let's continue on Monday. Yeah. Bezat Hashem. Have a wonderful day.
Hopefully Sunday.